Now we take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. First off, here in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu on Thursday renewed his push for the creation of state police, revealing that he had assured the United States and European partners that he would implement state police. He stressed that state police must happen, in his words, as part of efforts to improve internal security and strengthen governance at the subnational level. Tinubu spoke at the 14th National Caucus meeting of the APC at the State House Conference Center, Abuja, where he also insisted that local government autonomy must work in practical terms, urging governors to stop withholding funds meant for council chairpersons. The president's comments came amid rising security pressures across the country, renewed calls for decentralized policing, and the push to implement the Supreme Court's judgment on local government autonomy and direct allocation to councils. Tinubu told party leaders that the APC, as the majority party, must show leadership through reconciliation, accommodation, and flexibility at the grassroots level, as he urged governors and other stakeholders to take responsibility for what happens in their states and local governments. In a sweeping diplomatic move with far-reaching implications for Nigeria's foreign relations, Senate on Thursday confirmed 64 nominees as career and non-career ambassadors of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, approving a list featuring prominent political figures, former governors, ex-ministers, and seasoned diplomats. The candidates unveiled ambitious plans centered on digitization, strict contract enforcement, stakeholder collaboration, and accelerated gas development to unlock value in the sector. The confirmed list comprises 34 career ambassadors and high commissioners and 30 non-career ambassadors and high commissioners, bringing the total number to 64. The nominee from Yobe State, who did not appear before the Committee on Foreign Affairs for screening, was not included in the list. Following the adoption of the report, Senate President Godswill Akpabio formally declared the nominees confirmed and urged them to see their appointments as a call to national service. After the politics that preceded the confirmation of the ambassadors, it's now time for the hard work. How Nigeria can regain its space in the world and how we re-engage with our foreign counterparts. Furthermore, the House of Representatives has approved a key amendment to the Electoral Act of 2022, formally mandating the use of the bimodal voter accreditation system, also referred to as BVAS, and real-time electronic transmission of election results from polling units. The amendment also introduces a 5-year jail term for presiding officers found guilty of declaring false results. The approval came at a clause-by-clause consideration of the report on a bill for an act to amend the 2022 Electoral Act, presented by the House Committee on Electoral Matters. The House adopted sections which repeal the 2022 Act and embed stringent technological provisions. It approved Clause 47, which now makes BVAS the primary tool for voter accreditation, replacing the smart card reader, and allowing voters to present electronic identification, including downloadable voter cards with unique QR codes. Under the existing Act, the provisions were left at the discretion of the INEC.
Of the presiding officer, the officers at that polling unit where this overvoting takes place should be prosecuted. If it is in the law, it will deter us enough. So I submit, sir, that we take a difference between the accredited voters and the actual votes. The difference, let everybody bear the pains. Spread it across the political parties that are there. Everybody have the pains. Then you prosecute the officers. Next time, they will not do it.
In that polling unit, and shall be liable to prosecution in accordance with the provisions of Section 145 of the Act.
Who shall be liable?
Sir?
The presiding officer that has done the...
Yeah, this is the recounting. So that proportionately, he would deduct the vote proportionately across the political parties.
And after that, be punished?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he allowed it.
Okay.
Sharing what amounts to illegality equally, I don't think it's a solution. Let us allow what we have. If there is overvoting, cancel that unit and go back to election within 48 hours. The person who is popular in that unit will still win the election, sir. That's my position, sir.
The Electoral Act 2022 remains one of the most progressive electoral law in our history, and the amendment proposed under this Electoral Bill 2025 are designed to consolidate its strengths, address observed gaps, and improve implementation without undermining the stability of the existing legal framework. I want to assure Nigerians that the House Committee on Electoral Matters has conducted its process with utmost transparency and diligence.
All right, let's move on. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has set up a 7-man committee to investigate allegations of alterations to the gazetted copies of the 4 tax laws. Representative Abdul Samad Dasuki had on Wednesday raised the alleged alteration to the gazetted tax acts in circulation, contrary to what was passed by the National Assembly and signed by President Bola Tinubu. To probe the allegations, Speaker Abbas Tajuddin announced the composition of the committee chaired by Mukhtar Betara with Idris Wase, James Faleke, Seda Soli, Iduma Igariwe, Frederick Agbedi and Babajimi Benson as members. The committee has 1 week to submit its findings. And now we go to party politics as APC National Chairman Professor Nentawe Yilwada has announced the defection of Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang from the People's Democratic Party into the party, noting that with this development, the entire North Central is now governed by the All Progressives Congress. Yilwada, who is also from Plateau State, announced the governor's defection at the party's 14th National Caucus meeting holding at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Mutfwang's political advisor, Estefanos Nwansat, also said the governor's decision to join APC is because it was the option with the least risk in the face of the current crisis in PDP. The aide said the defection of Mutfwang to APC would also align with President Bola Tinubu's political and governance trajectory in Plateau State. Meanwhile, Senator representing the Federal Capital Territory, Senator Ireti Kingigbe, has officially joined the African Democratic Congress, ADC. After receiving the membership card of the party, Senator Kingigbe commended ADC stakeholders and urged party members to work hard despite opposition obstacles ahead. This move marks her departure from the Labour Party, a decision she blamed on the party's internal crisis. All right, a number of stories before us this morning, Rufai. It's a busy season, interestingly. As we get to the end of the year, it seems like it's also a lot of things happening politically. But your take on some of these stories this morning, the APC caucus meeting, the confirmation of the ambassadorial nominees, now ambassadorial designates by the Senate, the defection, it's season of defections as well, and other stories that you'd like to touch on this morning.
So the APC caucus meeting, among many other things, President Tinubu was rallying his troops, but he was talking about local government autonomy. Just one question I want to ask him. Did he respect that autonomy in the case of Osun? That's one question. If President Tinubu can answer that question, we'll a lot be happy. So when he says I will pay them their money directly, I think there are commas and clauses to them. When there's a political outlay, the case is different. As regards the tax law, yes, there was alteration. The Daily Trust made a very stark comparison between what was passed into law by the lawmakers and what was gazetted. What was gazetted included a deliberate act where they said if you do not comply or you're found wanting acts of payment of taxation, you are going to be arrested, which is an aberration in the first place. So when did an institution of government now have power of arrest? The same thing that the court has thrown out in many cases. You remember the case of, police permit, VIO, and all these things that...
With the MBC. Even
with the MBC, that they have constantly said that you don't have the power to prosecute, but here they quickly snuck that in, amidst many other provisions. Yes, so the National Assembly has set up a committee. I think the committee will not really do anything great. I think to a large extent, it is Nigerians that will have to insist and say, we must go back and we must scrutinize the process. Secondly, Victor Okpatola has sent an FOI to FIRS as regards this MOU with France. They must release it. We must see what is going on there. Because you see, these are the people that want to collect taxes from Nigerians. They can't even afford the accountability with forged laws and other things going on. So Nigerians, you can see how your life is going to be in 2026. These are the people that want to collect taxes. They can't afford a certain level of accountability. You sign an MOU with France, you can't put it out there in public. Let us see if they will respect the FOI. But I doubt they will respect the FOI. They will come and give another long-winded governmental clause and say why they can't release a sensitive security document, probably on the bounds of that, because they are so predictable. I will be happy if they release it. Let me give them that lacuna. I will be happy if they release it, but I doubt if they will release the full text of that memorandum of understanding in response to the FOI filed by Victor Okpatola. And that's why I see, please, 2026 is going to be the prelude to an election year. Nigerians, please be very vigilant. A lot of things will be snuck into government documents like we've seen with these tax reports. Please scrutinize everything closely. If not for that lawmaker from Sokoto, God bless his heart, we will not know that they had snuck in such a travesty into our tax laws. So please, shine your eye. It has shown that we cannot respect the accountability threshold set by some people. As regards INEC, real quickly. Yes, we've been advocating for the legalization of beavers and all of that. And IREF. I mean, this is a welcome one. But let's also see how the process will go till the end, and let's see if they will assent to it. Because as it is today, like I've always argued, the electoral reforms are already getting late. These lawmakers will go again. They will go on the Christmas recess for the festive period. They will come back in January. They will fine-tune it before they push it up to the president. Probably maybe media, they start to push it up to the president, or before media, they push it up to the president. In a case, if the president chooses to behave like President Buhari that said, you didn't put one higher, you didn't put one, and refuse to sign it, we are not getting anywhere. But it is incumbent on President Tinubu to be able to sign that list, to be able to show us that he's a true Democrat. As regards what is happening with the APC and defection, I mean, what do you expect when they've officially turned it into a one-party state? They have smoldered the opposition. We are not oblivious of the fact that the workings, the internal workings and the destruction going on in the opposition party in Nigeria has an higher undertone to it. There have been court cases in the case of Labour Party, other political parties, but one way or the other, you see that people that are dividing the party are growing stronger. All of a sudden, accord that was in accord before, when we didn't have any factions, once Adeleke got in there and got the ticket, you started seeing factionalization in accord. So it will be delusional for anybody to believe that there are not some higher extra celestial powers that are tormenting opposition parties in this country. And there is no form of exorcism you will do to be able to remove it. Because these powers, they have powers, they do and undo, they use coercive force, all the forces are there. But when matters become like this, it is for the opposition to be able to stand firm, shine their eye, and we will also call on Nigerians to see it. But before that, we're speculating, is the opposition that are not getting their acts right? And no. You can see what's happening in the PDP now. All of a sudden, the PDP caretaker factional committee has said that they've suspended the ESCOs of 14 states. Now they are even saying they're going to have their own parallel national convention. And all of a sudden, you don't know who is pushing them. The extraterrestrial powers that be. But you see, I have a message for that extraterrestrial power this morning. No champion forever.
All right, Dr. Bati.
Okay, one of the major news stories that came out yesterday was Governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, declaring for the APC. Well, we have been talking about the drift towards a one-party state. And there will be some people who will say, well, Governor Mutfwang joining the APC it's not surprising. Many of these governors, we have had them saying, oh, after all, it is to help their state. It is to protect the interest of the people. Well, in the case of Akwa Ibom State now, we have seen the governor saying, look, the Victor Atta International Airport has now been designated an international airport with the support and the blessing of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So if you are state governor and you think that supporting the ruling party will help you, what option are you left with? So Governor Mutwang has also joined the ruling party. At this moment, we have 28 political parties in the APC. The APC has wiped out the North Central effectively, with Plateau State joining. The APC is in complete control of the South-South. The APC is in complete control of the Southwest, -2. And that will be Oyo and Osun. So what else are we looking at? And that was why I argued before now on this table that the 2027 election has already been won and lost. If you want to argue with that, you just go to Google, which is a famous thing that people go to these days without using their own basic intelligence. Now, beyond that, the APC had its caucus meeting. Once upon a time on this table, we used to complain that APC was not even holding meetings. But now APC has become so confident that they can hold a caucus meeting, they can hold other meetings ahead of National Working Committee meeting. Why? Because it is very clear that they have stabilized, they have consolidated politically. And that was why at our meeting yesterday, what they were trying to do is to put together the Buhari wing, the Tinubu wing, but the only wing that exists really is the Bola Ahmed Tinubu wing of that political party. Yeah. No, I don't want to use the word faction. I want to say wing, because the triumph is about triumphalism, in my view. And let's give it to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He made the right statements that should be made. He says he's committed to state police. He has been talking about state police since he was governor of Lagos State. Now he's in a better position. Before now, he had given directive that the states that are ready to have state police should be allowed to have state police. He has said before now that he is committed already to the international community that we should have state police. That is linked to the idea of security, national security. He's been very consistent also as a federalist on the issue of local government autonomy, and he repeated that yesterday. And then, of course, some of the other commentators, Senate President, Speaker of the House of Reps, they were very enthusiastic in praising President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The question is, what do you expect them to do? They will praise him. But the only thing that we need to draw attention to is this threat, this fear of a one-party state in Nigeria. As far as I'm concerned, the election has been won and lost already. But there's always the X factor, what is likely to happen. Because sometimes when you prepare, you say you're a strategist, always also look out for the X factor. You don't know what the opposition is planning. And I repeat the point that the opposition is very important to democracy. It is important for even the ruling party to provide space, scope, extent for opposition views, alternative views to be expressed. Because this is, at the end of the day, about the people. And that takes me very quickly to the point about electoral integrity. Now, since 1999, we've been amending, reviewing, taking another look at electoral reform, electoral act. If anybody would, I wrote an essay on it, an extended essay. But look, the issue is that it is not enough for the House of Reps to just say, we are considering 77 clauses. And we say, okay, if you tamper with the process, you will go to 5 years in jail. Results should be transmitted real time, which is something that is not provided for in the current Electoral Act 2022. And also that BVAS should be the primary thing. In other words, technology, trying to upgrade the system. How about the human factor? It is the human factor that is always the problem in elections in Nigeria. Ad hoc staff, even the system itself, and then at the end of the day, you will hear glitches, you will hear all kinds of stories. The objective is that we don't want to hear such stories in 2027. The integrity of the process must be protected. That's the principle. 2, the people's votes must be made to count. 3, we expect that there will be concurrence on the major issues between the House of Reps and the Senate, particularly on the basic issues about women representation, inclusivity, otherwise, because you also have persons living with disabilities whose interests will have to be taken care of. And then you have a lot of procedural things in terms of how INEC functions. So this will be a major text for the administration to make sure that the 2027 election will be free and fair. After all, APC now having a caucus meeting. They have started the 2027 process, and they are already going ahead of the opposition, because the whole idea of that caucus meeting was to stabilize the party and for them to move beyond, all the people who have joined the party and all the ones that will still come. You don't know who and who will still come. Now, the issue about endorsement of ambassadors. Let us make it very clear that this administration has shown that it's in cahoots with the legislature. If we were to do a proper audit, how many things has the executive taken to the legislature that they did not approve? Whether it is budget, they will approve. Anything, they will approve. They will pretend to be having a debate. But, they just walk to the answer. But in the case of the ambassadors, so that they don't say we are criticizing them unduly, even when we have the right to do so. The process is not ended. They have said bow and go without the rigor that we ask for from the National Assembly. Okay, congratulations to them, because I know many of them will have Thanksgiving services in churches. They will have community rituals and celebrations and all of that. If you say, oh, they don't deserve, well, they will say the representatives of the people have endorsed them. But the process does not end here. After this process, there's what is called the agreement. The receiving states, after they have been given portfolios, that's the second step, we also have to vet these people. And then they will say, okay, we agree, we do not agree. So it's not as if this confirmation is automatic. The people who want to send out congratulatory messages should wait. The people who want to have Thanksgiving in churches and mosques and covens should wait. Because this process is likely to take up to about 7 months. So some may even be rejected by the receiving host countries. But we would like to see, we can't have bow and go rubber stamp in Nigeria. Don't assume that is what will happen in the receiving countries. The receiving countries may likely reject some of them. And then, of course, we'll have clarity. But to the extent that it takes up to about 7-8 months, because it's not an automatic process, Nigeria cannot dictate to receiving countries. We will see what happens at the end of the day. And by the time all of this is resolved, we will be close to the election. We will be close to another dispensation. So many of these nominees should just be hoping that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would retain them when he gets his second term, which I keep insisting is already given. The battle is won and lost. When I'm wrong,
Ruben Abat.
Yes. When I'm proven wrong,
the man that saw the future.
When I'm proven wrong, I will be here also to say, okay, I was wrong. What happened?
Octopus proven
Interesting. So the reason I actually said faction, Dr. Bat,
Tinubu
was
second term already. You will serve in that second term cabinet.
You're eating into my time. You're eating into my time.
This is what you saw it.
You're eating into my time with fine sinning. All right, okay.
President Tinubu, give Dr. Abati something in your second term. Please give Dr. Abati position. Sorry, Ayo.
No, I'm prepared to serve my country. No, I will serve my country.
Give Dr. Abati something in your second term.
There is nothing anybody can do about that.
Okay, so Dr. Abati has said that if invited, he will serve his country.
I will be serving Nigeria.
Okay,
good.
You
serve Tinubu
excellent.
too.
All right, talking about service. Oh my goodness. Okay, talking about service. Thank you. Talking about service.
I'm a patriot.
Talking about service. First of all, Dr. Abati, the reason I talk about faction was tongue in cheek, especially because most of the political parties, opposition parties, are factionalized. And I was saying that the only faction in APC, if they could be put that way, is the Tinubu faction. Case closed. That's the only party that seems to have its house together. And I say this because while some people might say that, yes, that, oh, President Tinubu is a master strategist, see the way it's done, you can argue as to his strategy by, in some of the opposition parties have talked about him deliberately destabilizing the parties. In fact, there have been accusations around leveraging the instruments of state to actually, destabilize these parties. And that's, for someone who is a Democrat, that's not something to be proud of. But beyond that, I think would be the conversation around also, for a lot of these defectors, beyond aligning with the center, it's also a race for political survival, clear and simple. Some of them have already stated the state of their party and how, if they were to continue in their party, the chances of them even being able to present for as candidates in the next election is dicey. And so, in their own political strategy, having analyzed and evaluated the realities and their chances, have chosen to align with the APC. Now, a number of people have come out to talk about the dangers of a one-state party, what it does for democracy, what it portends for it, and that argument will continue to proceed. But one other area we must not neglect is the internal battle in the APC that these defections might cause. For a number of the new defectors, yesterday was their first meeting at the APC, caucus meeting, being brand new members. A number of them would still be seen as outsiders or interlopers at best, who have come in when the others within the party have worked for so long and all of a sudden want to get an automatic ticket to stand for the next election. That might very well pose a challenge. Maybe the master strategist has thought long-term about this and putting some, measures in place. I mean, in Osun State, you had all the hopefuls come for a meeting and they were able to decide on a consensus candidate. Would that be the same for all the other states? Would he be able to control the response and reactions of maybe aggrieved APC members who feel that these people who have worked in the opposition party for so long and they have been faithful in the APC, all of a sudden they come in on the promise of them getting a ticket, for candidature? Would the primaries in the APC be free and fair to ensure that the people's will take preeminence? Who would be the leaders in this state? Governor Fubara has been saying that he now has structures. He's the leader of the APC in that state. And, conversations around that might also, maybe the APC is looking at factions later on in the course based on this master strategy that is bringing all and sundry into the party. So that's something to look at. Now, with regards to the ambassador designate, congratulations to them. Some people would have spoken at length, but we also sort of predicted that it is a rubber stamp Senate, and we can see the evidence. It's not just tagging them with a name, it's actually what has happened. As Dr. Abati mentioned, I tried to remember or think of any letter passed on by the president or the executive that they have rejected or not signed, aside from the initial ministerial nominees with Nasir El-Rufai based on security concerns. Now, what the senators have said is that they didn't receive any petition, they didn't receive any, demands from people to say or to speak against why any of these nominees should not be considered. And I think that's actually speaking out loud, because a lot of people in Nigeria play politics on social media or through conversations or through, take back part in governance at that level, and that's where it ends. We don't actually know how to effectively engage our representatives. And maybe this is a lesson from this particular exercise, that it's not enough to make complaints or to trend or to go viral on social media or to have conversations, heated conversations around whether or not you think someone is suitable or not. You have to go a step further by actually providing petition or speaking to your rep and providing evidence as to why you think this person is not suitable. Some things might seem very obvious. So we say this person is this, that person is that. But as long as a formal petition or complaint was not filed, then it could not be admitted, and the representatives could then make their decisions based on what they feel has been proper vetting. So this is a lesson in governance and active citizenship for a lot of Nigerians. Now the work has come. The 4D principle of Nigerian foreign policy, as Minister Yusuf Toga has spoken about, democracy, development, demography, and diaspora. Some of the key areas that these ambassadors, they have a lot of work ahead of them. This also, by the appointment of these ambassadors, demonstrates to our host countries that are ready for high-level conversations with contracts that can be binding. Remember that in all these countries, what the people who have taken affairs or charge of affairs are the charge of affairs, and they cannot, there are limits to where they can engage diplomatically in these countries. We have talked about the importance of having representatives, heads of mission, as ambassadors in these countries, and it's taking a long time for this administration. So on that note, very good. Number one, democracy. One of the tasks they'll be given would be, of course, to promote regional democracy, especially in the ECOWAS region. We have seen a breakdown as a way of relationships, cordiality with countries in this region. And perhaps one of the tasks, even though in the past they may not have been seen as, missions of particular concern, but at this point we can now understand just how critical and important it is for us to have representatives and constant communication with our regional bodies to ensure cordiality and no foreign interference. Development, the areas of representing Nigeria economically, and that's why we said that part of the rigor of questioning for these nominees was their knowledge of the economy, their knowledge in terms of engaging with their host countries and potentially attracting foreign investors. This has been the mantra of this administration, the opportunity to encourage and, attract foreign investment. Also, they would leverage the booming youth population of Nigeria demographically